enforcement and several lawmakers as well have kind of created this real myth about fentanyl. And fentanyl is a very, very potent drug. And I want to tell you a little bit about a story that was covered by Slate. So back in May of 2016, a police officer in East Liverpool, Ohio, Chris Green, was responding to a traffic call when he realized that white powder had spilled inside the car he was investigating. And so he puts on gloves and he's handling this material, and later he finds out it's fentanyl. But he has it on his shirt and he's brushing it off because someone's, hey, you got this powder on your shirt, so he's brushing it off. And about an hour later, some accounts say a few minutes later, Chris Green, the police officer, fell unconscious. This later became this sort of wives' tale that fentanyl, if you so much as came in contact with it, even with your gloves on, you could fall ill, you could have an overdose, and things like that. And this article by Slate, which we'll have a link in the show notes for, they talk about the American College of Medical Toxicology's report on this, explaining that simply having nitrile gloves does provide sufficient protection when handling fentanyl. And that it takes quite a bit to have simple skin contact, exposure to fentanyl, and for you to become sick from it or to see effects from it. There is such thing as a fentanyl patch that's used in clinical situations, but you have to understand that that was specifically designed to be applied to the skin. And so several law enforcement agencies have kind of repeated this story about the police officer going unconscious as a way to kind of justify, their version of the crackdown or how they want to handle it. And really interesting is that the Department of Homeland Security tried to label fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction. And this came out in a memo that was leaked by the Department of Homeland Security. And what's important about this sort of mishandling is that it's very possible that we miss the chance to actually educate ourselves on fentanyl, on what it is, how it's used medically, how it's used recreationally. What people are most afraid of is how drug dealers use it to cut into other products like cocaine and heroin, sometimes MDMA. And I wanted to talk about an organization called DanceSafe. DanceSafe, go to dancesafe.org. DanceSafe's in our show notes as well. DanceSafe for years has provided drug testing kits to the party scene, to the rave scene. And for over 2 years, they've provided fentanyl testing kits as well. So they already have testing kits for cocaine, heroin, MDMA, tons of other party drugs, but they also have a fentanyl kit. And so at the community level, at the individual level, if you want to be protected, it's important, if people are going to go out there and use drugs, they're going to be illicit. We don't know what's in them. It's important that those get tested, and it's important that people stay safe. And so we recommend checking out DanceSafe if that's something of interest to you.